Cisco acknowledges the traditional owners of the country on which we meet, the Wurundjeri Nation and their people. We pay our respects to them, their culture and their elders, both past and present. We also pay our respects to any other Indigenous people that are here with us in the audience today, and we wish you all a great Cisco Live.
What is it that makes us unique? As human beings, how is it we come to know when something is right or wrong? How does experience shape our instinct? Is it intellect or something more? It's our intuitive mind that moves us forward. Right now, millions of new gadgets, devices, and things are connecting to the internet every day. More devices now than there are people. Think about that. Think about the complexities of that, the automating of that, the securing and protecting of that. We are entering a whole new era. So it makes sense that we can use a very different kind of network, one that sees all this complexity as the enemy and understands that intuition is the antidote. Because intuition is the most human element of all. It's what drives us, informs us. We try something, we learn, we adapt. We go from there. Now think what it would be like if a network could do the same thing. If it used intuition to drive itself. If it actually had insight, context. If it learned. If it could adapt. If it could predict. Fix things before they break. If it could configure millions of connections, not in months or even days, but in minutes. Think if it could protect based on what it knew, what it had learned from every attack. If it saw threats, even the ones hiding in encrypted traffic, before they happened. So the more you tried to hack it, the smarter it became. That's the network for this new era. Guess what? It's here, now, among us. More powerful than intellect, more human, more intuitive than anything that's come before. Constantly learning, constantly adapting, constantly protecting.
Wow, good morning. Welcome to the Cisco Australian User Conference, aka Cisco Live 2018, the 25th year of Cisco Networkers and Cisco Live here in Australia. Now, you'll notice we changed the name because most of you are far too cool to attend a user conference. Think about, though, where you were back in 1993. I was actually programming building management systems. I was such a good programmer, they moved me across to the sales department. At 25 years, the network has changed the world. And now the world is actually changing the network. What I mean by that is that the world is moving so fast. Every organisation is under enormous pressure and disruption, and now networking and digital infrastructure has to evolve to support this change, which is why Cisco Live is back bigger and better than ever. We have over 7,000 participants at Cisco Live this year, a new record, and thousands more online. But at the heart of all of this amazing change has been the people who've built these networks. That's you. You're the ones who make it work. You design it, connect it, secure it, develop it. You're it. In fact, that's our theme for the week. You are the superheroes of IT. Now, I'm not so sure about this theme. I mean, we're not dealing with children for Pete's sake, mostly. But then marketing and PR suggested, Ken, actually, you're going to be Giga Man. And I said, team, now you're back in the game. I always like to extend a warm welcome to our international and interstate visitors. We've got partners from across Asia Pacific and Japan, of course from across Australia and New Zealand, attending the Partner Experience program. Well done. We've got the usual cohorts are here, soaking up the learning and the technical education, 220 CCIEs and net vets. You folks are technical demigods. You've built the networks of the past and now you're rebuilding the networks of the future. A warm welcome to our business leaders from the Digital Impact Dialogue and the Executive Symposium, our cross-functional leaders at the Workplace Summit, and IT managers at the cleverly named IT Managers Program. Now, all of you managers and execs, it's customary when you come to Cisco Live to bring a large purchase order to really get in the swing of things. Press and analysts, I never like to bag a journo or an analyst. They will always have the last laugh, so a warm welcome to all of you. And a warm welcome and a big thank you to all of the sponsors, a record number of sponsors, over 100, demonstrating products and capabilities at the World of Solutions. I'd especially like to thank and welcome Optus Business as our diamond sponsor, an official service provider partner. Optus and Cisco have an award-winning partnership. It's going from strength to strength. It's working to a common goal of putting customers' digital experience first. We've jointly invested $12 million over 3 years to help Australian organisations thrive in this digital era. Across our workplaces, in our classrooms, and even in our sporting fields. No greater example than the 2018 Gold Coast Commonwealth Games. Let's take a look at the video. Wow, pretty good. Make sure you get down to the Optus stand, check out their innovation talks, go down and see JP and David Kaspari. They just love to say yes to everything. Now, but there's over 300 sessions at Cisco Live this week. Don't forget the innovation talks in the world of solutions. You've asked for the world's best experts. We brought them to you this week. Also, check out the Innovation and Investment Pavilion, where you can mix it with some really interesting startups. And you can't miss the DevNet Zone and the walk-in self-paced labs for some real-time hands-on learning. Now, Cisco's also thrilled to be the official hardware supporter for the Gold Coast, network hardware supporter for the Gold Coast 2018 Commonwealth Games. So in all things sporting and achievement, we're asking you, given that you're not up to formal representation for Australia, to cycle for charity. I want to see you all on those bikes in the foyer. We will donate $10 for every kilometre cycled to Tour de Cure and Special Olympics Australia. Now, you know I always like to give a little bit of an update, the goings-on in Cisco, Australia and New Zealand. And thank you, we've been growing. Thank you for your great support and the opportunity to serve you. And in 2018, we're building new muscle. We're focusing on your success. We're building a customer success function, hiring a lot of new people, helping you to better adopt and enjoy the capabilities in our software. You've bought it, we and our partners are going to help you better use it. We're also busy supporting your migration to next generation networks and workplace technologies. We've learned a lot about the shift to more automated and software-based infrastructures, working through learning the right sequence and step changes towards your future architectures. We've also been working with you building highly resilient and secure platforms. Outages hurt, they stop business and they affect your brand. We've launched new business-critical services. Combined with current and up-to-date software, it's ensuring you are open for business. Now, everyone's aware of the skill shortages in our industry. So we've lined up with TAFEs and universities across Australia and New Zealand. We're co-designing new curriculum, especially in cybersecurity, in next-generation networks, and the Internet of Things. Our networking academy is growing. It's got an updated curriculum, over 21,000 students active today across ANZ and the Pacific Islands, and we'll be joined, you'll have to be here to see it, on Friday by 500 students at the Student Summit. Now, importantly, we're really rolling up the sleeves, helping our major industries stay competitive. And I'm pleased to announce we're investing $7.5 million over 3 years in new university programs, focusing on practical research in key industries across public and private sector. Now, we've also got a new leader in our region as well. Our former Asia Pacific and Japan chief, my boss, Irving Tan, was promoted to Global Chief Operating Officer. You know, Irving and I were peers only 4 years ago, and now he's in San Jose as an officer of the company. How am I going? You know what it's like when you get a new boss? I haven't been sleeping too well until the announcement that our current Japan chief, Miyuki Suzuki, was to be appointed APJ president. And we're delighted to have Miyuki-san with us this week. She's got an amazing background. She actually went to primary school here in Melbourne. And prior to Cisco, she founded Jetstar Japan. It's an amazing career, and she's going to be a great leader for Cisco in the region. But I'm really here to introduce our keynote speaker for the day, and that's Rowan Trollope. He's going to be great. He's the Senior Vice President and General Manager of the Applications Group at Cisco, which incorporates collaboration, IoT, and business insights. He's transformed our product strategy from engineering rock-solid service provider and enterprise products to one that are delivering delightful user experiences. Now, Rowan said that his number one job at Cisco is to make sure that we're creating business relevance for you, our customers, beyond the infrastructure. Now, he's got some help on this particular matter. He's got 9,000 R&D engineers, product development engineers under his remit, and he's got the checkbook out, in fact, the credit card. He spent $8 billion on acquisitions, $8 billion US, in the last 2 years alone. Rumour has it he put that on his credit card so that he could afford the frequent flyer points to upgrade his flight over here from San Jose. Now, I've been looking for some dirt in Rowan. He's pretty clean. He's not that much into sports. In fact, I can vouch he's not super coordinated. At a keynote presentation a couple of years ago, he managed to spill water all over the demonstration apparatus, and it all turned to custard. But despite that, he actually rates himself as a bit of an action man. He's into climbing and mountaineering. You could say he's a sort of Steve Jobs meets Bear Grylls hybrid. He is a self-described geek, an innovator, a global adventurer, an appreciative husband, and an amazed dad. Note I said amazed, not amazing. He's amazed every day by his children, their inquisitiveness, their intelligence, and their joy of life. And he knows that they get that from his wife, not himself. He's here today. He will entertain you. He will share something new with you and empower you to help your business thrive. Please welcome Rowan Trollope.
Thank you, my friend.
Great, mate.
Thank you.
There's the clicker. Good job, knock it.
All right, thank you, Ken. So I've been pounding or slamming Tim Tams in the back for about 2 hours, okay? So I've got a lot of energy, and more than just the probably 150 to 200 grams of sugar that are coursing through my veins, I'm excited today because I get to talk to you about two things that I love. Two things. The first thing is I get to talk about the future, and I'm going to talk about Cisco's strategy, but really I'm going to get to kind of pontificate about the future, and I love that, and specifically future technology. And the other thing that I get to do that I absolutely love is I'm going to do some demos, okay? How do you guys feel about that? Should we do some demos? Whew. And Ken has removed all of the water from the demo area, so we're going to be totally safe on that one. Thank you, Ken. All right. So to set the stage, when we think about the strategy for our company, it's important to understand the world that we're going to be living in. And not only the world that we will be living in, but the world that we get to create together. So I thought the first thing we would do is just walk through some predictions for the next sort of few years in technology. And the question is, well, how many years forward should we predict? And if you think about Cisco's history, we've been around for 30 years, just on. And so I thought that would be a good round number. And of course, the world looked really, really different 30 years ago. And I'm dating myself here because, you know, I had one of these at home. And actually, I had the cheaper version of that. I didn't quite have a Mac, but I had something. And anyways, the technology back then, of course, looked radically different. The internet didn't exist, but if it did, it was probably delivered to you on a 5¼ inch floppy disk called CompuServe from none other than IBM. Anybody remember that? Am I dating myself? Prodigy? CompuServe? Yeah, okay. So it was way back, and the world looks really different. So let's look forward 30 years, and we'll go through this by decade. And it's a bit hard, frankly, to get your head around 2050, I feel. But when we think about networks and we think about infrastructure, these things move at a certain pace, and there's probably 3 upgrade iteration cycles between now and then. So it's not really that far away at all. In fact, as I thought about 2050, I realized that in some ways it's not that far away at all either, and that is when we look at our children. This is my daughter, Penelope. I love having her picture on a 50-foot screen. Her name, we call her Pip. She's 5½ years old. She likes 5 3/4, she says, of course. And Penelope, when I thought about this, she's going to be in her mid-30s in 2050. She's going to be entering into the workforce. And she's going to, it's not really that far away at all. And so we really need to think about this. And I don't want to have a conversation with her in 30 years where she says, Dad, you knew about all this stuff. You knew it was all coming. Why didn't you do anything about it? You know? And I think that when we think about what we have to do in the world, that's something that we should think about. So from that perspective, if you have kids, 2050 is sort of almost just right around the corner, so we should think about it. So let's start out in the 2020s, the roaring 2020s. I think they're going to be pretty fascinating. And we'll start with the first prediction, pretty mundane. In fact, it's already been in the papers. Dubai claims that by 2022, they will launch the world's first driverless hover drone taxi. Sort of that Jetsons fantasy, if anybody watched the Jetsons, flying cars whizzing us all around. Well, they claim that by 2022, and maybe sooner, this is going to become a reality. In fact, you can go on YouTube and you can search for, no, don't do it now, please, because we need to have the network for the demos. You can see this. EHang, a company in China, has actually produced this product, and they're demoing it, and they're flying all of their executives around in it right now. And so it's right around the corner, and I'm pretty excited about that. We finally get flying cars. Now, for businesses, drones are a huge transformative opportunity. Whether it's agriculture or mining or transportation, oil and gas, all kinds of industries have tremendous opportunity around drones. Just by show of hands, how many of you feel like drones will have some sort of an impact on your industry? Just a show of hands. Okay, so about a third. All right. So a huge impact. A third of our industry is being impacted by a technology like drones. Pretty exciting. Now let's fast forward here to 2025. This is sort of barely just around the corner, and it's a pretty shocking prediction, but I believe it. And that is, sometime in the mid-2020s, smartphones are going to begin to disappear. Now, before you reject this out of hand, this prediction, I had a chance last year to preview a technology called Magic Leap down in Florida in the middle of the sort of Everglades, in the middle of nowhere, candidly. A guy named Roni Abrovitz has created a brand new science around a technology that delivers something called augmented reality that you've probably all heard of. And these now, you can see the pictures of the product online. They're going to be launching them this year. One thing that I can tell you is, and you can also go on YouTube, by the way, and see this technology. It's a little pack you wear here, and then a pair of goggles. Now, they look super dorky right now, but that's okay. You know how that goes. They're going to get lighter, and they're going to get cooler looking, and eventually they'll look like a awesome pair of glasses from Gucci or something, and you'll wear them all the time. And I will tell you that when you experience this technology that they've created, it's a brand new science that they've created to create holograms in your field of vision. You just can't, I couldn't imagine any other way of interacting with a computer once I'd seen that. That's so much better. It's so much better than a little piece of glass that you hold in your hands. So when that technology comes along, I don't know if it's going to be 5 years away, 10 years away, but it certainly is going to begin to replace smartphones. Now, here's the thing. Smartphones have had such a transformative effect on all of our businesses. I mean, I can't think of a single industry that haven't been transformed by smartphones. And when we introduce a technology like this, it's going to affect every single industry in very, very profound ways. And so it's an important one for us to think about. And from a networking perspective, the resolution of the displays are so great that, and by the way, there are 2 displays and they're 3D, that it's going to require that we build an entirely new network to support these technologies. And that's, in fact, one of the things that Roni, the CEO, is quite interested in, is how will we build the networks to support these next generation devices. So very exciting innovation in the 2020s. Now, with all of these, with these headsets becoming more and more popular and less dorky so that we can wear them all the time, we're going to need a new way to interface, an input mechanism to talk to and interact. Now, we already have voice. Obviously, you've all probably seen or heard about Alexa or Google Home or any of these things, or even our product that we have coming, Spark Assistant. Well, voice is certainly becoming a brand new way to interact with computers. But there's a new way coming too, and that is text by thinking. Now, this sounds a little bit creepy, and I'll admit, maybe it is a little bit creepy, but it's already happening. In fact, it's been happening for quite some time. It's been actually happening. There's been a lot of development in this area for accessibility reasons and people that can't use traditional input mechanisms like keyboards and mice. Well, that technology has been shrinking and shrinking and getting better and better and better. In fact, Facebook have engineers working today, at least the media reports, working on human brain computer interfaces. And in fact, right now, I can demonstrate it. Okay, there we go. I've told my son I'm definitely bringing home a box of Tim Tams, so he's going to be very happy when I get home. So text by thinking is coming. Now, let's talk about the next innovation. Let's now move on to the 2030s. And if any of you have kids that are under 10 years old, your kids will probably be graduating and getting into the workforce sometime in the 2030s or so. And things are going to start to look a lot less familiar in the 2030s. In fact, this is a prediction that I found. It's a list of job titles that might be common in the 2030s. And they don't sound very familiar to any of us. Avatar manager, a body part maker, vertical farmer, nanomedic. I love this one, a climate change reversal specialist. I hope my daughter does something like that. Or a waste data handler. I'm not sure what that is, but it sounds fascinating. So I think the net of this is that you should take a minute to imagine what are the future jobs that might be created in your industry? What would those job titles be? And if you can start to imagine that, then you can start to imagine how you might prepare yourself for that future. So this is one of the things that I get to do in my free time. Now I'll bring you back to something a little more familiar. This is also in the 2030s, and this is internet connectivity. What kind of bandwidth are we going to have? Well, by sometime in the 2030s, maybe 2034, we predict 1 terabyte connections will be common to the home. And of course, one thing that probably will never change is no matter how much bandwidth we get, we're all going to be complaining that the internet is way too slow. I'm pretty sure of that, and that it doesn't work. Now, the reality, though, is that kind of connectivity is going to usher in an incredible new wave of opportunities for business. It's hard, the more bandwidth we have, the more opportunities show up. There are things we just cannot do today. We couldn't do augmented reality at scale with the current networking bandwidth that we have. We're going to have more bandwidth. So I'm sure that we'll figure out a way to leverage 1 terabit connections to the home and more. Maybe I'll finally get my Star Trek holodeck at home. That's what I really, really want. I'm hoping. Flying cars is nice, but I don't really want to fly. I want to just sit at home. So that would be great. So that's the holodeck and internet. Now let's change gears and talk about healthcare. Healthcare is an interesting one. In fact, the experts predict that by 2036, as a result of reverse engineering the human brain, which is a project that's somewhat underway, and decades of treatment data is already happening all around us, that we will finally have a cure for Alzheimer's. And that's certainly a devastating disease that affects millions and millions of people around the world, people in my own family. It's very painful. And that is not a technology that is a world away, by the way. That technology is being developed right here in Australia, in Queensland, as a matter of fact, where scientists have found that non-invasive sonic, ultrasound technology can actually stimulate the brain in a way to cure and reverse the effects of Alzheimer's and to restore memory. So very, very exciting developments actually happening right here in Australia. So super cool. So now let's get to the 2040s. And by the 2040s, things get really interesting. In fact, I think the 2040s will make the 30s and the 20s just look totally sleepy and like, oh my God, nothing even really happened during those 20 years. 2040 is where things really, really took off. And I want to start with the prediction of computing power in the 2040s. The experts predict that sometime in the 2040s, we are going to have the average home computer will have the computing power of 1 billion human brains. Well, we don't even have one brain yet, but by sometime in 2040, we're going to have 1 billion human brains in virtually every home. And it is hard to imagine what we might do with all of that computing power. I know that we probably can find a lot of really funny cat videos on the internet with 1 billion brains working on it every day, so that would be great. But seriously, think about your own industry and think about when computing is that ubiquitous and that free, essentially, just what you'll be able to do with it. It's, candidly, I can't imagine it. I don't even know. This guy knows, though, Ray Kurzweil. And he's the chief futurist for Google. He's the head futurist for Google. And Ray Kurzweil believes that by 2045, his current prediction is that by 2045, we will achieve something that he calls the singularity. Now, he's written a book about it, and you can read it. It's called The Singularity. And the basic idea, he's very creative when it comes to naming his books. The basic idea is that the singularity is the moment which computers and artificial intelligence become more intelligent than humans. And the big fear, it's certainly, this is a hotly debated topic. There's many other books written about this. But the worry is that if computers really become that smart, they might sort of decide that they don't really need us pesky humans around anymore. And that's what people are worried about. What's going to really happen? It would sort of get beyond our control. Now, whether you believe that or not, here's what I think. Artificial intelligence is going to be a transformative force in our industry for many, many years to come. And it's going to affect every single one of your businesses. It's going to affect our business. And it's going to affect virtually every part of life as we know it. So artificial intelligence, whether you believe in the singularity or not, it's certainly a huge transformative force that we should think about as we think about our future. Now I want to move all the way up to 2050. Now, Elon Musk plans to put a permanent base on Mars by 2050. So humans could finally become an interplanetary species by 2050. In fact, he's already sent his car there to meet him when he gets there. I don't know if you saw that in the news, but his car literally is on the way to Mars as we speak. So that's cool. Guess he'll have a car. I don't know what we'll have, but that's nice. I like to think about back here on Earth a little bit more. And I think about the environment. And the prediction is that by 2050, we're going to have 9.7 billion people living on our planet. 9.7 billion people living on this planet. And scientists have been thinking about this, and they've been thinking about a concept called carrying capacity. So carrying capacity is the notion of how many people we can support on our planet sustainably, okay? And here's the prediction, and it's a little scary. Scientists predict that to support almost 10 billion people will require 2 Earth-sized planets. And the problem, of course, is we don't have 2 Earth-sized planets to work with. We only have one, Mars aside. And so we have got to rethink things in a very substantial way. It means that we're going to have to become way more efficient with our usage of resources and way more sustainable. And the way that we're going to do that is technology. Technology is going to play a huge part and underpin every part of life in 2050. And so that, for me, is the bigger context about what we're doing with our strategy here at Cisco. In fact, it's absolutely required. Now, I'll sort of explain this a little bit more to you. There was a funny meme that went around a few years ago. It's Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Anybody see this? I laughed my ass off when I saw this. It was like hilarious. Because it was like, yes, that's how I feel. And initially it was, for those of you not familiar with this meme, it's like the basics of life, earth, like water, air, food, etc. Spiritual enlightenment and love at the top. And of course, most important, more important than even food and air and water is Wi-Fi. And so thanks to all of you. We saw this meme run around because that's so important. And then, of course, when smartphones came around, it was like battery. And literally, sometimes I think we all do feel this way. It's like, you could cut off the power at my house. You could stop the food shipments. I could probably survive for a while, but don't take away my internet. That I can't live without. We all feel that way. And while it's funny, if you put it in the context of the future that I just talked about, it's not just funny, it's true. You think about this, to support 10 billion people on Earth in a reasonable way, not like I love dystopian, sci-fi. I don't want to live in one of those dystopian sci-fi novels, like in the future. I want to live in a beautiful, clean world. And we're not going to be able to do that with 10 billion people unless we have a technology infrastructure that underpins every single necessity of life in a sustainable way. To have clean water, to have clean air, to have healthy food and shelter for 10 billion people is going to require a technology infrastructure. And it's going to require a technology infrastructure that we don't have today. What we have today isn't good enough. And so that is the context with which we think about our strategy at Cisco. What we're really up to is trying to think about that. How do we create that? Not just the next .rev of this or that, or the next shiny feature that we can sell. We're thinking about that the role we play in the world is really, really important. And the role that all of you play in the world is really, really important. In fact, not just important, critical. So, this is a tremendous opportunity. It's a little scary, but it's also a great opportunity. It's a great opportunity for us to reimagine and to become re-inspired about what we should be doing with our next generation infrastructure, and to think about that over the next 3 decades. What we think is that the next generation infrastructure has to be intelligent, it has to be smart, it has to be automated, and it has to be secure. Those are the 3 key pillars. It has to be intelligent and smart, it has to be automated, and it has to be secure. And artificial intelligence, as I talked about earlier, is probably the most important innovation that's out there today from a technology perspective, making it possible. And as you're going to see today, and we're going to demonstrate this a little bit, AI is powering a lot of the innovation you're seeing in every part of our portfolio, whether it's the network intuitive, or whether it's ETA with our security technologies, or whether it's some of the amazing new innovations that we have in the collaboration business. Much of it is being delivered by artificial intelligence. So, this is our strategy, one sort of long press on the strategy. I want to double click or long press on the strategy. Here's the 5 pillars, the 5 pillars of our strategy. And I'm going to just go through each one and tell you a little bit about what's driving us. I'm going to start with one that is near and dear to my heart, security. I spent 20 years in the security industry before I came to Cisco, 20 long, hard years in the security industry. And if I learned one thing in my time in that security industry, it's that security can't be an afterthought to an architecture. In fact, we're all suffering with the pain of the fact that security today is a bit of an afterthought to the internet. And hence, we have a really kind of a bad situation with security. It's not good. The internet is not secure. People are getting hacked. Bad things are happening. And that's primarily because it wasn't part of the original architecture. So as we think about the next generation architecture and the next 3 decades, we believe deeply that we must have security embedded into the underlying principles of the next generation of the network, and so that's what we're doing. And so here's a couple of interesting stats just to make that point. 71% of executives are worried that security is stopping, security issues are stopping innovation within their companies. And in fact, almost half, 40% of executives in businesses have actually canceled mission-critical projects because of security concerns. It's, if you're an exec, it's pretty, and you're making decisions, it's pretty terrifying. The downsides of making a mistake, a breach, or something else are massive. You get fired. CIOs get fired, CISOs get fired. You kind of can't win. So it's easier to say no. So we have to fix this problem. And the problem is getting worse, not better. With the Internet of Things, the attack surface is increasing. Millions of new devices connected every hour. So the attack surface is increasing, and at the same time, all of that value is drawing in a lot more bad guys. So the number and the sophistication of the bad guys is increasing dramatically. And I used to ask this question, and I continue to ask it, which is, are we winning? If this is a battle of the bad guys against the good guys, and I think everyone in this room is the good guys, we're the good guys, are we winning against the bad guys when it comes to the fight to protect our networks? Unfortunately, I think the truth and the answer is no, we're not. And in fact, it's easier than ever for the bad guys to hack into our networks today. Take a look at this video that shows you that. I've got a video to show it to you. Roll the video, please.
The race is on to get a fully self-driving car to market.
Autonomous car company Opticon promises a
Cars that drive themselves. Opticon's new cars.
Joining conference now.
Destroyed data and deleted the backups. We can recover most of it, but some of the research may be gone for good. According to the forensics, they may have had access to the blueprints.
The FBI arrested a San Francisco man in connection with last month's Opticon.
Hey, Brian, can I get you anything? Coffee or soda or something? No. So, walk me through it, step by step.
Well, I took over the website to a bowling alley.
Brian, this is not a joke.
Okay, look. They have this research facility down the peninsula, and they're working on optical tracking cameras for driverless cars. So, just searching through social media, I get the names of a whole bunch of engineers who are working there. And as I'm looking them up, I come across this bowling league where a bunch of tech companies play every Wednesday. And this is an old school bowling alley with this really ancient website. And it has all the league info, company names, player names.
Okay, so you hacked into a bowling alley website.
Yeah.
All right, explain how that works.
It's called an iframe injection attack. It's this old exploit that hits anyone that visits the website. So a week later, this guy from Opticon suddenly has my malware on his laptop. I couldn't believe it worked. It was like a joke.
What does that get you?
Well, the next day he goes to work, and he opens his laptop, and he connects to the network. And that's it. I'm in.
Yeah, but that still doesn't get you inside. I mean, they discovered it. They wiped the laptop, scanned the network.
They didn't scan the whole network. The thermostat's part of the network. It's inside the firewall. It's connected to Opticon's entire network. You can get the whole standard configuration and password online in 30 seconds. I got it off the manufacturer's website. So they scanned most of the network. They didn't scan the thermostat.
Then what?
Then I just went exploring. It was a totally flat network, no subnets or anything. I could see everything, HR files, legal documents, R&D. When I found the blueprints, I realized I could make some money off these files.
What happened after you sent the files?
Oh. Then I burned everything down. I wiped everything I could find, encrypted drives and deleted backups.
Is the network down?
Can you change something with the database? Servers look corrupt. We're going to have to do a full restore from the backups. No, the backups are encrypted. This is deliberate. This is a major breach. Malware. We got to call the FBI.
I was just scared. I was trying to cover my tracks.
And somebody paid you how much exactly?
75 bitcoins.
Nice. Not enough to retire on, but still. All right, Brian Page. Are you sure you don't know who paid you?
European automaker Q-Car has beaten Opticon to market with their QX sedan, the world's first self-driving car. Opticon shares tumbled 11% on the news.
Okay. A little scary, to be honest, but true. This is really what is going on. So if I learned one thing, it's make sure you scan your thermostats when you get home. That's really going to be important. And don't have a flat network. I think we probably made that video before 75 Bitcoin was worth enough to buy, like, the biggest house in Sydney. But the reality is that the situation is incredibly bad, and there's a lot that we need to do. And we have to be really thoughtful about how we design our next generation infrastructure and make it secure by design. So our approach to that, and what we think about every day, is how do we embed security into the fabric of the network? And you saw a taste of that with ETA, Encrypted Threat Analytics. You saw a taste of how we could use the network in a new way to detect threats in encrypted traffic, something that had previously been thought to be impossible. Now, we also recognize, though, that it's critical that we continue to have a best-of-breed portfolio. We can't just embed it into the network. We need to have in every category that we play, whether that's protecting individual computers and endpoints, protecting the network, even protecting the cloud. We have to have a best-of-breed portfolio across all of those things. And we have to monitor across all of those points. And the good news is that today our security portfolio has never been stronger. Our security portfolio is in the best place that it's been in a long time, and we have an incredible team that's got an amazing pipeline of innovation coming in the security category. So very, very exciting. Let's now move on and talk about reinventing the network. Of course, we started out with that pretty cool video with Peter Dinklage talking about the network intuitive. And I just want to sort of explain this a little bit in my own words. What the heck are we talking about with the intuitive network? And what is driving us to do this? I think it's really simple. We've reached a tipping point. The number of new devices, 1 million new devices being connected to the network every hour, and the fact that most of our networks are manual and brittle and break all the time, we have reached a tipping point. What got us here won't get us there. We can't keep building networks the way that we've built them for so long. We had to come up with a new way, one that was focused on automation, one that was focused on intelligence, and again, focused on security. So our answer to that problem is the network intuitive. And it's the first major redesign of networking that Cisco has ever done since the beginning of the company. It's the first major redesign in the way that we would like you to use these technologies. And we shared this little graphic. And what's important about this graphic is that there's kind of two boxes. Like, what is intent-based networking? I get asked that question all the time. It's actually a really simple concept. It's just understanding what's important, the intent, what does a business want to achieve, translating that into policy and automation rules that can be applied to the network. So the two boxes you see on here, this graphic to sort of explain it, you've got intent-based networking at the bottom. That's all of our infrastructure and systems that actually power it. And then sitting above that is DNA Center. And DNA Center is that place that you go to define your intent, and it reads context out of the network to understand what it is that you want to do, and it uses machine learning to do that. And of course, we bake security around all of it. So that, I don't know if that was clear, but it's clear in my mind anyways. So that's intent-based networking, and that very much is our future. And since we launched, we've had dozens and dozens of customers actually deployed, big customers deploying DNA Center. We've had customers buying our new products like the Cat 9K in droves, so it's going really, really well. And even since we shipped, we've changed the underlying engineering philosophy and approach so that we have an agile process to deliver the software that powers the network. So in DNA Center, since we launched, we actually launched more features. Just in the last year, we launched DNA Assurance, and we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about that and demo some of the assurance capabilities in a little bit here. So a new approach, decoupling software and hardware, new hardware, and a new model. That's what we have in the network intuitive, and we're really just at the beginning of it, and this represents the big next step for us in creating that future infrastructure that we talked about earlier. Now, let's talk about the cloud. The cloud, of course, has been an incredibly transformative architectural approach to computing for just about every business. I mean, I can't think of a single company that I've talked to who wouldn't say to me that they are considering or are already using the cloud to power their business. In fact, 85% of the customers we surveyed said that they're going to be using the cloud. But 95% of them told us if they're thinking about using it, they're not planning on using just one cloud. And so while we began in a fairly simple architecture with cloud, one cloud, just go everything, send it all to Amazon or Google or whatever, we're now in a world where customers are saying, I don't really want that. I want to be able to, first of all, I don't want to be locked into one vendor. So I want to build my architecture in such a way that I can move workloads around, not just between public clouds, but also between private clouds and your own data centers. And so we believe that we're in a really good position to enable that. Whether it's ACI in the data center, which can enable seamless transition of workloads, or Cloud Center, which we acquired, and most recently App Dynamics. We have a whole host of products, App Dynamics being the most recent one, that allows us to monitor and track the performance of your application, which you absolutely need to do if you're going to transition a workload from the premises to the cloud or back or forth or whatever. So as you think about transitioning to the multi-cloud, come visit us and ask us what we can do to help you. All right, next let's talk about data. Data is sort of one of those big words that everybody talks about. I think about it really, really simply. The Internet of Things is unlocking unbelievable amounts of data that already exists. It's creating new data at the same time, but there's already so much data in the world that we could just unlock and make use of. And one of the big benefits of unlocking all of that data is efficiency. Back to the original thought here about living more lightly upon the world. The Internet of Things is allowing us to live more lightly upon the world. That technology fundamentally is opening up new opportunities for companies to get way more efficient about the use of their products and how their products consume natural resources and how power efficient they are, and and so on and so on and so on. The gig economy, all this stuff is all contributing and all sort of leading to a much more efficient system. In fact, just about everything that Google does in Google X is really all about that one simple thought. So unlocking the power of data is a key strategic initiative for Cisco. And we've got an amazing portfolio that has been growing like gangbusters to make this happen. Our IoT networking portfolio, along with our IoT software platform, which we call Kinetic, together have recently just been voted by IDC or rated by IDC as one of the leading IoT platforms in the world. So that's here now, and it's real, and you can go take a look at it. So go take a look at our IoT platform in the world of solutions. We can help you connect anything, and I do mean anything. Just come to us and we can show you how. All right. Finally, we're going to talk about collaboration, and then we're going to get to the demos. So collaboration for us is about connecting everyone and everything. And when our customers take the first steps on that digitization journey, they often realize that the very first thing they need to do is enable their workforce with a radically different experience. You're probably not going to go compete with the Netflixes and Googles of the world using the same old stuff you've been doing for years and years and years. Phones and email, that stuff's not going to cut it. So we've been inventing a brand new portfolio in the collaboration business to connect your employees together in ways that we even thought weren't possible, and to totally transform the workplace environment into something that is much more reflective of the kind of agile and fast-moving environment that you need to be able to compete and disrupt in your category. So that's the first part. We've got an amazing award-winning portfolio between our cloud products with Spark and WebEx and our hardware systems. You can see one of them here. You can, again, see all of that at the World of Solutions. If you haven't deployed this in your environment, you're a masochist. Like, you really should get out there and use this stuff because it makes a total difference the way you work. I couldn't live without it. So take a look at that stuff. Next, in the collaboration space, we focus a lot on connecting you to your customers. So part one is connecting your employees to each other. Part two is connecting you to your customers. And of course, one of the things that's most notable about so many of the disruptors in today's world is that they've rethought about how they engage with customers. And that's a critical part of every business. In our business, in our collaboration portfolio, the technology that does that is our customer care portfolio. And it starts with a great contact center product that's been doing very, very well, especially here in APJ. And we love those products. You can see those. We've just acquired a company called BroadSoft. Welcome to all the BroadSoft people that are here today. And BroadSoft has a great cloud contact center as well. So we've now got an incredible set of assets to deliver contact center to you that's modern and lets you connect to your customers in ways that I think are going to help you transform your business. So that's our collaboration portfolio. Very exciting. And that sort of brings me to the end of my 5 pillars. Those are the 5 pillars. That's where we're investing our time. That's what we're thinking about as we design the strategy for the company. So I think it would be great now to stop all the talking and get to the showing. What do you guys say? Demos? Demos? Yes? Okay. I love demos. I love me some demos. And I actually do want some water, but they said I can't have it, so that's fine. All right, so for my first demo, I thought we would start with the network intuitive. And what we would love to show you is DNA center assurance. And so to help me do that, I'm going to invite to the stage one of our principal engineers who had this idea and helped create this product. His name is Tim Seghetti. So please give a very warm welcome to Tim Seghetti. Tim, come on up to the stage. Good to see you, Tim.
Thank you, Rowan. Thanks for having me.
Tim is a fellow Canadian. He's from Vancouver.
Yep.
We're going to have a very international audience of demonstrators today.
Yep.
And Australia, I was sort of thinking about Canada is sort of like the New Zealand of the United States.
Absolutely.
In a way, yeah.
Absolutely, I can relate.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so that was a bad joke, I guess. So what we're going to demonstrate, we're going to actually talk about a real problem.
Yeah.
And I sort of insist that we talk about a real problem that people in the audience will have felt, experienced, be able to relate to.
Yeah.
Okay, and so the problem that I would love to demonstrate is a problem that I think everybody has, which is an application's not working. Like, I've got an app, I'm tapping on it, I'm trying to connect to something, and it's failing, okay? And you've been in this industry for 20, how long have you been at Cisco, 25?
20 years this
20
year.
years.
I
Okay.
started as an IT analyst.
Congratulations.
At Cisco. Thank you.
And so tell me about the state of the state, pre-DNA center assurance.
Yeah.
When you have a problem like that, somebody's called your help desk, and the app's not working, I don't know why. What do you do today?
Yeah. So the first thing you need is a mental model of the part of the network that you're troubleshooting.
Okay.
And that you need context of where the problem area is. So you have to build that model. Typically, you're going to start with finding out, okay, what app are you having problems with? What device? What is the server you're trying to reach? I'll probably use tools like traceroute or ping, but these are like 30-year-old tools.
Yeah.
And then
Traceroute,
they don't,
really?
yeah, exactly. Then I'll like iteratively look at all the devices, that in the underlay as well as layer 2, layer 3, as well as any logical overlay, see how the packets are being treated at every point in the network, every interface and every queue, and then try and isolate that problem area.
Okay, hold
It's
on, wait.
a long iterative process.
So well, you're telling, first of all, the first thing they say when I call is they say, reboot your computer.
Yeah, yeah, I'll try with that just to buy me
like,
some time.
Probably to assure that it's not the network. So this is what really goes on when you've got something not working on the app side?
Absolutely, and customers struggle with this. They'll be troubleshooting an application issue, if they're lucky and they know what they're doing, over hours. However, some customers tell us it takes them months to zero in on sometimes these type of issues.
All right, so months, hours to months. So this is the problem statement.
Yep.
And so you've been working in this space for 20 years. What's the solution to this problem? How do we think about it differently?
It's our biggest leap forward, DNA Center, part of the Network Intuitive, where we're showing intent-based networking. You're going to abstract all the complexity of the network and defining your policies, as well as then you're going to be listening to the network in the context of your specific problem to see what's going on. And so I want to demonstrate that. I want to show you how we can get from something that takes hours to months to 1 minute to identify the problem, another minute to resolve, or less.
All right. Okay, so let's take a look at it. So let's bring up Tim's computer here so we can see DNA Assurance Center on the screen. Get it up there.
Yeah.
There we go. There it is. So that's what we're looking at. Now, just so everyone in the audience knows, I threw a curveball at Tim last night. And I said,
Yesterday.
Tim, I don't want you to just walk through this thing. I'm going to put you to the test. In fact, everyone in the audience you're going to help me with, we're going to put Tim to the test. You said that you can take something that used to take hours and take it down to 1 minute.
1 minute to troubleshoot you gave me,
okay,
and
right.
1 minute to
Here we go.
remediate.
Okay, all right.
You've just undercut 50 minutes of my overall time. I'm really sweating, Rowan.
Can you do it in 30 seconds? Because we don't got a lot of time here on stage. That's the question I really have.
I'll try to remediate in 30 seconds, but I want to show...
Why don't you show us the first steps then, and then I'm going to set a timer on you, and I want you to prove that it actually works.
Appreciate that. So first of all, you've called in, you've told me about this problem.
Let me do this. So we've got the app here that we have created in such a way that it won't work, because we've hidden a little problem in the network to prevent this app from working, okay? And you don't know where that problem is, so I've got my app. Let's get my phone on screen. There it is. I'm going to open up Salesforce. Anybody use Salesforce in the audience? We all know that it always works and never has any problems, but just kidding. Here we go, opening up Salesforce. So what I want to do, and I often do this after I meet with a customer or with a partner, is I'll create a task for myself. Oh, follow up with this, go do that. You've probably all done that. So I'm just going to tap this green button down here at the bottom, new task. I'm going to tap that. And of course, you might have also seen this. It's not working. Check your internet connection and try again. So, okay, I'm pretty sure my internet connection here is working. I've got some bars. I've got the internet. So I'm going to try again. It goes back to the main screen. The internet connection appears to be offline. So Salesforce is not working. This would be a time when I would call the help desk.
Yeah, absolutely.
And say, this isn't working. So it's some network problem, probably, or who knows what.
Yeah.
Show us how you can now resolve this problem in DNA Center.
Okay, so I pull up your profile, and this tells me all the devices you have on the network. The phone in question you told me is an iPhone. Okay. I see that here. I'm going to take the long way, and I'm going to show you that, okay, first of all, I want to get that mental model of what you're seeing on the network. I'm going to say, okay, you're having issues from that device to Salesforce. I'm going to include some relevant stats, such which is going on in every device in the path, every interface from a QoS perspective. There I've got my view of the network. I can even look at any given device, any interface.
So is that a live view from my phone all the way through the campus network?
Yeah.
Okay.
That we built. It's a demo network. And then if there's drops, they're going to be called out, but this is a little bit more elusive. I'm not seeing drops right now, so I got to look a little deeper. So application experience, we added this just over a month ago. Cisco Live Barcelona, we're doing a major expansion on this in about a month's time in our 1.2 release. But here I can see that, okay, Salesforce, your overall health of that, and health is a composite metric of multiple key performance indicators.
So one is bad?
Yeah, one is bad.
Okay,
so if
that
I
was
look,
the incident.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm looking at...
So you know that there's a problem,
I know there's a problem. I don't know right yet if it's a network problem or if it's a server problem.
Okay, probably server.
Probably server. Usually, that's often the case.
Mean time to innocence is the most important metric here, I think.
So I can see every flow of every app from every user in my entire enterprise, as well as not only how the flows are, but the quality of the treatment across the network. I did see that you did have some packet loss issues earlier. So this is all in a time series database, so it doesn't have to be happening right now while I'm troubleshooting.
Okay.
Exactly. But what
so you're looking at what actually happened.
I'm seeing that you're also having consistently high latency, and for apps that do a lot of turns, this has a compound effect and often causes timeouts. The application delay is a delay on the servers themselves, beyond the network. That's okay. Every now and then we're having a minor blip, but I know now this is a network issue.
Okay.
And I took, like I said,
the long way. When are we going to get to traceroute?
The long way around. Whereas if I just click on the overall issues, I could see that there was already, DNA Center intuitively flagged this as an issue that's going on for you. It's told me it's not drops that you're dealing with right now. This is network latency. That's the cause of your problem.
So it already has told us that.
Yeah, it's told us that. I just went a little bit meandering to show a little bit more of the product.
Okay. So here's the real question.
Yeah.
Can you fix it?
I can fix this.
Okay,
this
so
is a network issue.
Don't do it yet. Don't do it yet.
Not going to do it yet. I just want to get set.
30 seconds. All right.
We
so
said
here's
a minute,
I'm going to
Rowan.
need the audience's help here because I want to make my app work, and he said 30 seconds. So we're going to.
I said 1 minute.
The folks in the back, we're going to put 30 seconds on a clock. There we go. Now, what's most important is that, Tim, you're not allowed to touch the computer before I say start.
Okay.
And when we're going to you guys are going to help me when we get to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And at 1, you have to put your hands up like they do on the cooking shows, knives down, step away.
And I'm starting from scratch.
And then I'm going to test it, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm going to run this thing, and we're going to see if it works.
Okay. No pressure.
Are you good to go?
I'm good to go.
All right, everybody. Here we go. Backstage, please start the clock. Tim, fingers on keyboard.
Okay, I'm going to configure policy. I'm going to select policy administration. I'm going to configure an application policy. At this point, I'm really regretting that we didn't bring the DNAC here to Australia, and it's hosted in San Jose, so there's a little bit of a delay.
Okay,
I'm going to give the policy a bit of a name, Keynote.
There it is.
I'm going to apply it to a site. The site here is
9, 8, everybody.
Melbourne,
7,
come on.
5,
okay. I'm going to make
4,
sure that Salesforce.
3, 2, 1, and hands off keyboard.
I'm going to apply it now.
Aha! Yes!
What you put me through, my stress, my blood pressure, I can't even tell you.
Well, you're a fellow Canadian. You thrive under pressure.
There we go.
Like the Kiwis. All right. Now, of course, the most important thing here is, did it work? You did take your hands off the keyboards by 1 second, so that was good. So how about we try tapping on new task, and it should work this time. What do you guys think? Should we tap on it? All right, so when I tap this, we got my screen on there? All right, there it goes. I should get to my new task screen, and I should clear that error. Let's go ahead and try it. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, tap. There it goes. It worked. Yes. High five. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And just a final note, we've been adding machine learning and artificial intelligence. I know this is a theme of your discussion. It's in early field trials,
Now
and
you're
it's
talking my
coming
language.
soon, exactly, to DNA assurance very soon. We're working on it.
So how can people get started with this? Where do they go? How do they find out
World
more?
of Solutions. It's
And will
right
you
here.
be there?
I'll be here. Kyle from our team and other ones on our product team are here in the World of Solutions Innovation Forum. I'm doing a breakout on Thursday on this.
And you know I'm super passionate about this. How long does it take to get started with DNA Center?
You get up and running. You get the appliance, and you're up and running. You can do something like DNA assurance. Passively, it's a great way to start DNA Center because then this starts giving you insights, freeing up some troubleshooting cycles, and then you could do more innovative strategic projects like SDA and Fabric and other really cool things.
And so for people who already have DNA centers deployed, let's see a show of hands. I want to see all the people who have it. Okay, wow, lots of you. 0, approximately 0. 1, do I have 1? Nobody. No, seriously? Okay. That's a problem. You're all going to run down, and you're going to get this thing installed, and Tim is going to help you. So please head down to the World of Solutions and find out more about it. Thank you very much, everybody. Tim Cassetti, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, demo 1 down. Now let's talk about what happens, which is almost always the case when the problem is not in the network. For example, when the problem is in the data center. So in this case, we had a Salesforce example, but often it would be an app running in your data center, and we file a ticket in the help desk, and the help desk goes through all the steps. Hopefully they're using DNA Center, and in minutes, 30 seconds, they tell you it's not the network. So then we have to move to the data center. We have some very, very exciting new innovations in the data center that are going to help us get to the bottom of these kinds of problems and more. And to help me tell you more about those, I'm going to invite to the stage Camillo Rossi, technical engineer. Camillo Rossi, come on stage.
Hey, Rowan.
How are you?
Good, thanks.
Good to see you. Okay, so come on over here. So Camillo Rossi, tell us where do you work, what do you do?
So I'm a technical marketing engineer in the data center business unit, and I'm based in Sydney, Australia, and if you can tell from the accent, I'm Italian.
Okay, so we go from Canada to Italy, living in Sydney. Okay, yep. And as I understand it, you only recently found out that you have curly hair. Can you explain
correct.
How that happened?
Never had them, and I wish I could have modeled or maybe forecast how they were going to look out, but yeah. That's how it is.
I think you're leading us into your demo here a little bit.
Absolutely.
So maybe if I grow my hair out, it'll be curly
We should
too.
model
we
it
should
and
check
see
it out.
what's
Maybe we
happening.
can model it in DNA Center. Okay, so this demo that we just did with Tim, who performed admirably, thank you, Tim, really just was about the campus, and often there's problems there. But let's now talk about the innovation that's happening in the data center, and what happens when there's a problem like that in the data center. So tell me what happens today in the data center, the problem.
So most of the steps will be very similar. You need to understand your application flow, understand your policy. And today, if you have a big data center fabric, you will still have to go hop by hop, switch by switch, to try to understand what is happening, what it can happen. And then if you have an issue, you can try to fix it by modeling a bit your traffic pattern flow. Maybe it will work, but you will never know if you really fix it for all possible traffic pattern because, well, we can test everything by just injecting random traffic into your network.
So it takes a lot of time.
Takes time,
Prone to error. This is something that everybody experiences today when you're trying to debug problems in the data center. I've had that problem as an app developer before, certainly. So you've been working in the data center team for a long time. So talk to us about the innovation that you guys have come up with to fix that problem, to make it better. What is how can you do that?
So we just launched a new product called Network Assurance Engine, and the best way to describe it, I think, is through an example. I think most of you guys came to Melbourne on a plane. Now, when Boeing or Airbus builds a new plane, before the first flight, they know that it's going to fly, and it's not going to be like a rock that it just crashes. It's not going to be very effective. So how they do that is that they create a mathematical model of the plane, they do simulation, and they are 99% sure that it's going to fly at the first attempt. So what we did with the Network Assurance Engine is exactly the same. We took every single port of your switches, every single ASIC, every single FPGA, we make a mathematical model of them, we stitch them all together, and then we can tell you what can happen in your network. And I'm saying can, not what is, because we don't care of what traffic is flowing through your network, because we model it so we can know that whatever you do, this is what can or could happen. Something changes, a ports go down, you do a vMotion, an IP address move across, we rerun the mathematical model, we restitch it together, and now we tell you what can happen from now on going forward. And we do this continuously. So every 10 minutes, we will rerun an update model of your ACI fabric and take it from there.
Okay. And so that sounds incredible and awesome. What does that mean in terms of time savings or benefit to our customers?
It can go down from hours of troubleshooting to probably minutes, because you have a single view of all your fabric and all the states.
And also more assurance that you really got to the problem, because a lot of times you can't even tell whether you fixed it or not, right?
Even the simple problem of, can these two virtual machines talk to each other? Can you prove it that they can, or they will never be able to talk to each other? Today, it's very complicated.
Got it.
And with Network Assurance Engine, it's just one click away.
All right, so let's show this beautiful piece of work.
Yeah.
And we can go over to our laptop here. I'm not going to put you on the clock, so don't worry about that. I mean, I can, but I won't. So go ahead and show us the Network Assurance Engine.
Yeah.
So what are we looking at here?
So here we look in the dashboard. It gives you an overview of your fabric with some of what we call smart events that will point out some issues. But for this specific demo, we are going to focus on tenant security. So tenant security, it's a very nice view that gives you an overall representation of what can happen into your network. Now, that's a pretty full picture. So let me give you some context of what it is.
Yeah, what is this? This looks like the Death Star. What is this thing? I don't know if you call it, but...
So what you see here in the outer ring represent your ACI tenant. Okay. The inner ring is your application profile, and then the small little dots are your endpoint group. Now, if you don't know what is an endpoint group, it's basically where you plug your server, your VM, and so on. And then the name on the outer ring is the name of your endpoint group.
And the lines, what are the lines?
So the lines are the flow that can happen through your fabric.
So can, not is.
Not is.
That's important.
Right. So now let's zoom into, for example, customer one, just to make it a bit more easy. So we can just click and filter. You can also add your filter manually, but clicking is way nicer. And now we can see all the possible flows within customer one. So you can see that customer one, for example, can talk with common through, for example, this specific green line. And if you want to see what this flow could be, you can just tick on it, and it will expand and show that, in this case, we are opening any port between these two endpoint groups. Okay. So in our example before, if we know that our application is
so you could use this to help with debugging a problem like
so say
an
that
app
we
doesn't
know
work.
This is our application, say this one, you can click on it, and here are all the flow that can happen into our application, and we can see if some of the tier are not.
So like a rule might have changed, and that thing can no longer connect to a database or something like that.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Very cool. All right, so now I'm going to ask you my key question. How long does it take for me to get started?
So let me tell you the truth. When I was on the plane to come here...
We would like the truth for the audience, by the way.
100% truth. Monday morning, I wake up, I check, because I want to be ready for the demo, and my lab is down. We had a nice power outage in the lab on Saturday, and one of my ESXi hosts is broken. So I had to redeploy the cluster. It took me 10 minutes. I did it just before I hop on a cab.
Let's get 10 minutes. No, I'm just kidding. All right. So you're saying that any of our customers could get started with this technology in 10 minutes? Okay. And they don't need you to get started in 10 minutes?
Not at all.
Okay, not at all. Good. So how can they find out more about this? How can they get started?
So the best way is to come to visit us at World of Solution. We have a stand there, and we can show you a bit more of what we can do, because actually this is just one use case.
Just one use case.
We can do hundreds of type of checks, duplicated IP address, routing loops, duplicated subnets, so really a lot of things.
It sounds awesome. It sounds really easy to get started. I think everybody is going to race down to your booth and find Camillo and help and use Camillo to help you get started using this product. So thank you very much. That was a great demo. Really appreciate it. Everybody, Camillo, thank you so much. Thank you. Beautiful product. Beautiful. All right. So that's a bit of an end-to-end view, just a taste of two of the awesome technologies that our teams have been working on. Now, it wouldn't be an appropriate use of my time on stage if I didn't have a chance to show you something from the collaboration portfolio. So I thought that we should now do that. And I think everybody in the audience, if you've ever heard me talk about anything, you know that I'm obsessed with the user experience. I'm totally obsessed with what our users have to go through, the pain that they feel when they use collaboration products, and how can we reduce that pain, and how can we go from pain to pleasure? How can we get that to be a delightful, even a magical experience? And we've been on a journey to do that for a long time. And we are certainly in a better place than we've ever been before. And today, we get to show you a technology that takes that one giant step forward, a giant step forward for us. And this is a preview, so it's not available today. Unlike DNA Center and Network Assurance Engine, those are available today. This product is not yet available, but it will be available soon. So now coming to us to demonstrate this incredible new technology, all the way from Ireland, he flew for 40 hours. I saw him halfway through. He looked very tired. But he's here today, all the way from Ireland, to demonstrate to you the Spark Assistant. Please give me a very warm welcome to Keith Griffin. Keith Griffin, come on stage. Hey, buddy.
Hey, Rowan. How are you?
You don't look any the worse for wear. You look fresh and great.
It was epic.
It was an epic journey. You said that they had like a meter of snow the day you left?
A meter of snow in one day. We can deal with that when it falls as rain, but not as snow.
Yeah, Ireland's good at rain. Okay, good. All right, so I already set you up for the Spark Assistant. So Keith, you're a principal engineer in the collaboration group.
That's right.
And you've been working on artificial intelligence for the last 2-3 years?
Yeah, about that. And back November of last year, you announced Spark Assistant as the world's first enterprise collaboration assistant. We've been busy on it since then.
Yep. It's a great way to incent engineers is to announce the product, by the way, a year before it's ready. They love it, right? Right, Keith?
Yeah, that's right. No pressure. It's been going really well. It's early days, like you said.
Yep.
So I'll say a little prayer to the demo gods, and maybe we'll take a look at Spark Assistant.
Okay, so show us Spark Assistant.
Great.
Take it away.
So the scenario here is, imagine that you're running late for a meeting, as we often are, and rather than getting to the meeting and then saying something like, sorry, I had trouble joining, like many of us do, and telling that little lie when we were just late. Wouldn't it be nice? I can hear you're guilty laughing.
Nobody ever does that. Come on.
So wouldn't it be nice if we had an assistant that could actually help with that as we're getting unpacked and opening our laptop and all of those things, we could have the meeting join. So let me just try do that. Hey, Spark, join meeting.
Got it. Okay. Joining meeting, team stand up.
Great.
It's a big deal, by the way. That is a really big deal.
So that's good, but that's easy, right? One of the things that I want to point out is that we're not building a command-based system, a speech command-based system. This is based on an advanced AI platform from our acquisition of MindMeld, an awesome team that we acquired last year. And this is a conversational AI platform. So what that means is that we can interact with the system in a human-like way. So for example, if I start the meeting in a different way, hey, Spark, let's get started.
Okay, joining, team stand up.
Cancel. Nice. So, I mean, that's a significant difference. This is not like a list of speech commands that you must learn in order to interact with the system. You can interact with it in a normal way. If you had multiple meetings that were conflicting, like we do, it can converse with you and ask you which one would you like to join. Let's say, for example, I'm doing a different type of meeting. Like, that was a scheduled meeting. But what if I had an ad hoc meeting and I just want to meet with Tim and the team that are developing this solution? One of the ways of doing that would be to use a WebEx personal meeting room. I could just walk into the room with colleagues and have some remote participants. In this case, we're going to join Tim's meeting room. And I can walk in unannounced and just say, hey, Spark, join the meeting room.
Tell me which of these users you are.
Option 1.
Okay, calling Tim Toddles PMR.
Cancel. So that's great. We can join the meeting in an ad hoc way. I could also use this to call people. I could place a call to a team member without having to look up a directory or find a phone number. Hey, Spark, call Michael.
There are 20 contacts matching. Michael, pick an option.
Show more. Show more. Go back. Go back. Right, option 2.
Okay, calling Mike Cervantes.
Cancel. So I could also be in the meeting and say,
Wait,
for
hold
example...
on. Let me go back on that one. That's
sure.
a good one. There's thousands of Michaels at Cisco. How do you show the best one or the
All right, that's a great question. Yeah, it showed just a subset. That's right. It showed 20 there. And if if you knew me, and for those that do, those are familiar contacts to me, the Michaels that I work with that came up. And it's doing that by using a combination of different inputs and quite a bit of data science behind it, which the MindMeld platform is being used for. So we're calculating things like interaction distance, the distance between you in the directory hierarchy, frequency of calls, people that I interact with on a frequent basis, or context, like I always have a meeting with Michael coming up at this time of the day or week. So if I'm calling ahead of that time, maybe it's that Michael that I'm calling.
So it uses your calendar, it uses your Spark messages, who you interact with,
call history,
all that.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, that's
uses
awesome.
all of those, yeah, yeah. And then I mean, I could also use this, and I guess the one of the benefits here is speed. It's getting things done faster and easier. You know, all of the controls are there for the device, but if I'm sitting across the room from the control panel and the volume's not high enough, I could say, hey, Spark, increase the volume.
Increasing the volume.
So there's small, you know, there's seemingly simple type of things, but they're very effective and they make life easier, and that's what an assisted AI capability should do. The last one that I want to show you is if I was to interact, for example, with a whiteboard. Hey, Spark, show my whiteboard.
Here is a new whiteboard.
So I can bring up the whiteboard and we could have an interactive session, you know, working on some design with remote colleagues, and then at the end, hey, Spark, close the whiteboard.
Closing your whiteboard.
So that's a very simple preview, some basic examples. We're getting started. Remember, this is a machine learning-based system. It will continue to learn. It will continue to get better. It's a modest start. We're getting there. But I think that this is something that will be an indispensable team member for collaboration.
And this is going to show up on all of our endpoints. It's just going to push out. If they're connected to the cloud, the update will just push out.
That's right, exactly. So the assistant service will be a cloud-based service, and we've got the hardware in place to carry the machine learning workloads. And yeah, we'll just enable this when we're ready.
Okay,
getting there fast.
Coming soon to a endpoint near you. Everybody, Keith Griffin, thank you very much. Keith, great demo. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. So those were 3 super cool demos. You saw some AI. You saw us how we're reinventing the network and advancing technology in the data center. But let me take you back now just to the beginning of my talk, to that vision of the future. And whether you agree with everything that I said, and I hope, frankly, I didn't do my job right if you agree with everything that I said, one of the things that I think that we could all agree on is that the pace of change in our industry is breathtaking, and that the future really isn't that far away. So what does that mean for you? And what does that mean for us? Well, for you, it means that you need to get started now. There's a sense of urgency that I want to impart on you that you need to get started now. The products that we showed you today, with the exception of Spark Assistant, are available now. Network Intuitive, those technologies, Cat9K, those are here now. It's time for you to start reinventing your network. It's time for you to start taking a look at this technology. I'm embarrassed that nobody put their hands up using DNA Center. I want to see more hands next year when I come down here. The time to improve your security posture is now. The time to get our collaboration products and to transform your workforce experience for your users, that time is now. And I couldn't be more excited, frankly, than I am to be here at Cisco, because we are doing some really cool things to help all of you. So this is going to be a great week for you to learn more about everything, to spend time down in the world of solutions, and then to go back to your companies and get started. So I would just like to say thank you very much for your time today. I really enjoyed being up here on stage, sharing our innovations with you, and I look forward to spending the rest of the week with everybody here. So thank you very much, and have a great week. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thanks, Rowan. That was absolutely sensational. Hey, listen, Nez and I have just booked Rowan in for the year 2043 keynote presentation. I can't wait to hear his predictions for 2050 to 2100. They will be mind-blowing. And we won't need any keynote presenters after that. It'll just be the machine giving us the presentations from the year 2045 at least. Team, listen, if you need any help, the Cisco team is here to help you. Just look out for them wearing their different coloured shirts. The World of Solutions have receptions early evenings. If you want to do a bit of networking of the human variety, please get down to the World of Solutions. There are health and wellness programs, 5K, 10K runs. I don't get out of bed for a 20K run, so there's a new circuit class at 6:15 in the morning. Tomorrow, there's another great keynote. We've got Liz Santoni delivering a technical keynote, so be here or be square. The world of solutions is now open. I'd like to ask everybody to head on down there. But before we do, let's see what's been happening over the last couple of days as we leave the room, and have a great Cisco Live 2018. Thank you.